Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight. Hey, this is Bob Louthen, host of the VeteranCrowd Network and The Spotlight. My guest today, Phil Capron, is a former Navy SWCC, a entrepreneur in his own right in the real estate space, and launching Mission First Capital, where he is founder and CEO. Phil, welcome to the program. Thank you for stepping into the spotlight.
Hey, Bob, really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So here you are, you're an entrepreneur. Tell everybody what Mission First Capital is.
Yeah, so when I separated from the military in 2012, I dove right into real estate and done a lot of investment deals since then, over 500 apartments and flips and just different real estate projects that I'd often use investor money. And it really bothered me that I wasn't able to include, my veteran and military brothers and sisters due to regulations surrounding net worth or income. So I sought to level the playing field, I say, and fix that glitch. And Mission First Capital was founded to allow particularly veterans and military members to invest in themselves by partnering with us on the real estate deals that we do.
Just right now, I'll just put the disclaimer out here. This is not an offering or a solicitation of any kind regarding this today. We're just talking about what you're doing. So tell us a little bit about you said to me the other day that you also had a bigger mission. You laid out one more goal out there. Share with everyone what you told me the other day.
Sure. Yeah, that was a great conversation. So Mission First Capital is sort of like the tip of the spear with what I'm up to. It's my goal to create 1,000 veteran-owned small businesses in the next 10 years. It's my belief that, we put people out of the military without the best tools and path forward. And in my opinion, it's some of the best possible people. So, if the government's not going to do it, the VA is not going to do it, it's up to people like us and people that are in the VeteranCrowd network to look out for one another, to collaborate and to build something new and better for folks when they get out of the military. So we know they've got the work ethic, we know they've got the the smarts and the skills, and aren't afraid to learn new things. So looking forward to diving into a handful of industries and partnering with amazing veterans that are finishing up their time in service.
Phil, this is right down the center of the fairway for the VeteranCrowd Network. We created the network because we believe that veterans make great business leaders, right? I can point to a point in time where I kind of had that revelation. Can you point to a specific instance where you kind of said, gosh, veterans make great business people. We need to do this. I mean, when did you have the epiphany like I did? I'm sure you did.
So I think it was multifaceted. But what I found really interesting is after separating from service, I went to work as a real estate agent. And I just looked at the people that were coming into the office and their competence and their work ethic. And I was like, wow, I'm going to run laps around all of you, and being a real estate agent.
How old were you when you made your transition?
Oh, geez. Math is hard. 30?
Mm-hmm.
29 or 30? Yeah.
Okay. A little older than some of the other folks coming out of the military, but I can say with a great deal of confidence that a 22-year-old who spent 3 or 4 years in the service is going to be head and shoulders ahead of his peers with regards to those disciplines.
100%. And look, I went to college before I joined the military. There's nothing wrong with college. It's a different training curriculum. It's a cauldron that you have to survive. And, it teaches you a lot, like were talking about earlier. And it just, you come out cut from a different cloth than, if you sat around and partied for 4, 5, 6, 7 years and you're working in a desk. And that's all. It's just, you don't have that grit, that metal to really get in there and to solve the problems that come at you in business. When you start
Mhm.
these things, these ventures, there's so much that you don't know that you don't know. And people without our backgrounds as service members, they're just not equipped, in my opinion, to tackle a lot of these challenges.
Hey, let's go back and talk about your journey because uh, you did go to college, then decided to go into the Navy. Tell everybody, just give let's go back and talk about the 18-year-old Phil Capron and the
Oh
22-year-old
geez.
Phil and what was going on.
Oh geez. What a mess. So after my team won the state championships for water polo senior year of high school, I was determined that I wanted to play in college. So I went to a little Division III school to swim and play water polo. And after a couple of years of that, decided that you know continuing to play sports wasn't worth sitting in kind of a miserable climate, the small school without much going on. So I transferred
Even
to
at
a
a
larger.
D3 school, it's like a full-time job to be
Oh,
an
exactly.
athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, I don't regret it. I love to play and it was really cool. It just, your goals change as you grow.
Hmm.
And, so I transferred to a larger school and then sort of pivoted again when I joined a punk rock band. So we were touring around the country. I was playing drums for them for a couple of years. And,
Why
long
didn't
story
that come up
shorter,
in the lightning round? You were
I
a
don't know.
drummer in a punk
Eh,
rock band and you didn't tell me that?
eh, no one really liked us. So maybe we just keep that, you know,
Not a good one, huh?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. But
we
did
had
it
fun.
did it result in any nicknames when you went in the Navy? I'm just curious.
I
Did
don't think
they?
so.
Yeah, your
No,
shipmates didn't find out about it.
no, they didn't. They
I
didn't.
found out about it on the first podcast discussion. I mean, come on, how hard is this?
Oh, you're a good guy, Bob. I feel like I can tell you things.
There you go. He's bearing his soul. Okay,
That's right.
back to coming out of college. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So, I met up with my best friend from high school, the co-captain of the water polo and swim teams with me, and he took a different path. He went to the Naval Academy, went to Buds, and became a SEAL officer. So, he's like, "Hey, man, like, what have you been doing with your life?" I'm like, "Well, I travel around with my rock band. For money, I'm playing poker professionally, and we fund our tours by routing our way around casinos so I can make enough money for gas in a hotel because they certainly weren't paying us at the clubs. We weren't
And
selling enough CDs.
note to self, don't play poker with Phil.
Probably
Okay.
probably pretty rusty these days. But he's like, "Wow, that sounds incredible. That's amazing." I was like, "Well, what do you do?" It's like, "Oh, I jump out of planes, blow things up, you know, shoot guns all day, dive." I'm like, "That sounds pretty great. Do you think that I could do that?" And he said, "Well, you need to get in the gym, brother." I said, "Yeah, that's probably true." He said, "But I tell you what, there's this program called SWIC, and they work, on in the coastal environment. I think maybe you'd like that because of your time lifeguarding, so on and so forth. It's not the same job, but they do some cool stuff. They take us to our maritime missions. You shoot big crew serve weapons and jump out of planes and go fast." I'm like, I'll check that out. So, long story shorter, ended up enlisting with the SWIC contract, and away I went. So it was pretty much the polar opposite of the life I was living. You know,
A lot of people are familiar with the buds training, but what's the crucible you go through for SWIC?
it's called the tour, and I'm sure they modeled it, off of the Hell Week experience. It's a little shorter. I don't want to get my timeline wrong here because I know it's changed over the years, but I believe it's 72 or 96 hours of, you know, grueling mayhem. You know, it the stuff that those guys go through in buds, it looks awful, right?
Hmm.
But I tell you what, being up for a handful of days and being out on the open water going 30, 40 knots when you're soaking wet from the Pacific Ocean,
Hmm.
that's a level of cold that, you know, that most
Where is
people
that
will not
school?
experience.
Is that
It's in
in San
Coronado.
Diego?
It's in
In
Coronado.
Coronado
Yeah,
also?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I remember that, you know, on the last night or whatever, we were, you know, swimming around off the coast of San Diego and in this kelp bed trying to get our boat dislodged from all the kelp. And you know, the sea lion popped up like, "Hey man, what are you doing in my living room at 3 in the morning?" And we were all so delirious from lack of sleep. I just like, what's going on here? Next thing, Jaws is going to come up. It was,
Ooh.
yeah, definitely a gut check for sure. But it's different training. It's a different job. Um, but it's pretty difficult.
No, I agree.
Honor, duty, service. At the Veteran Crowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the Veteran Crowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The Veteran Crowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
Hey, our guest is Phil Capron. He is the CEO and founder of Mission First Capital. How'd you wind up in Virginia Beach, Virginia Beach area?
So at the conclusion of training in Coronado, you had to pick between one of three boat teams. There's the one that's there on the West Coast. There's one in Mississippi. They do the riverine operations.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of stuff in Iraq and, war on terror, riverine environments. And then the East Coast team um, is where, you know, I was sent. And I thought that was pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
because at the time they were the only SWIC unit that was doing Maritime Craft Aerial Delivery System, or MCADS. So that means that we rig our boats up in a C-130 or bigger, and we drop them,
Shove it out the
parachute
back
after
door,
them,
huh? Mm-hmm.
exactly, and load up the SEAL team and go do an op with them, or even something on our own. So it was an amazing mission. I never got to do anything the real world deployment wise, but you know, it was a pretty radical capability, and I definitely enjoyed that element of the job there.
You have a lot of jumps. How many jumps did you log?
Oh geez. In the military, or probably pushing 200, and I guess I got about
Wow.
500 now.
Well, oh, so you just do it for fun now, huh?
Oh yeah.
God, tell you what. And I didn't get that out of you in the trivia question either. I'm gonna have to the next time I have you on, I'm just gonna do another trivia round.
I'm an enigma,
Punk
Bob.
rock band, parachuting, all this kind of stuff.
Should I mention that I was an indoor skydiving instructor, moonlighting for a few years, or no?
Did you do it over at iFly?
That's exactly where. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So
Bob Pizzini.
I was
We
gonna
know
say
Bob.
you should
Yeah.
have him on the show. Absolutely.
I've
Yeah.
had Bob Pizzini on the
No
show. Been
kidding.
in
Well, I'm gonna
there. I've
go.
been and done his program, and
Wow.
been in the chamber a couple of times. I'm telling you, I look like a stuffed pig flying in the thing. I took my wife, and she took right to it. I mean, she had the
Hmm.
right form and everything. She was flying all over the place. She's a pro.
Next visit down to the area to visit your son. We should all go. And
He's been in
yeah,
there. He's been in there as well. He went in there and took a little trip around the indoor skydiving. It is a ton of fun. Hey,
fantastic.
let's go back to the let's go back to the mission of creating 1,000 veteran-owned small businesses, because I think that's just really important. That's kind of the vision. What's sort of the how you think you're going to go about that?
Got it. So yeah, the vision. I mean, everyone that's served, they understand that when you get out, a lot is left to your own devices, and I think we can do better. So that's what we're building here. Got it. End of story there. How? There's the construction builders in the Navy, the Seabees, combat engineers in the Army. My business is real estate. So all of those service jobs fit very neatly in a vertical for what we're doing at Mission First Capital. So, I guess the quick elevator pitch is, we bring people to coastal Virginia to train under my partner, who's West Point guy, Class A contractor. And, if you actually need to go to a technical school to get the proper certification, we'll facilitate that. And then, once you've completed your training, either with us or at the technical school, we'll deploy you to wherever is home. We want to send people back home who have spent time away from families and friends, and we will help you with all the elements of business that are not much fun for doers. Everyone listening to this probably understands what I'm talking about there. If you're the kind of person that works, that does things, you don't want to be dealing with accounting and insurance and marketing and call centers and all that crap. So we want the mothership for all those industries to be here in coastal Virginia, and then we can service their needs wherever they might be.
So
And
these
we'll
are
help
these
build
are
it.
things that would apply in the real estate business. So it's rug cleaning, painting, name it,
Roofing,
right? Plumbing,
HVAC, plumbing, electrical,
right?
pest control, foundation repair, anything that requires somebody who's actually a worker. Because let's face it, folks, there's not a lot of people out there that are trying to do work these days.
And then
Just look at the news.
you become an entrepreneur in your own right. You guys are providing the back office support, and these people can go focus on what they enjoy doing.
That's it. And we can set them up to, produce an income for their families that they would have never dreamed of when they were wearing the uniform.
Okay. How does at this point, what's the rollout plan for folks, and how do they get in touch with you if they are interested in what you're getting ready to do? If they want to become a part of that program and have their veteran-owned small business be one of the 1,000 that you're hoping to set up.
Yeah. So at this point, the best way to get a hold of me is missionfirstcapital.com. Just drop an inquiry to one of the emails there and let us know that you're interested in being one of those businesses, and we'll definitely be in touch. As I mentioned, Mission First Capital, the real estate arm, is kind of the tip of the spear for the family of companies. And as we grow that out, it'll enable us to more easily move into different markets.
Let's talk about military transition for a minute. We got the TAPS program. There's a Skill Bridge program that's out there. I think that I've had a number of guests on where we talk about the TAPS program, and it's got some shortcomings because I think it could look, anything in the military can always be better, right? In the TAP program, I think they have a tendency to try to stovepipe people into jobs. It's kind of find them a job that they're qualified for. Whereas the discussion we're having is, I've got really good raw material in a young veteran who's got, he's been a team player, been involved, working with teams of people, getting focused on an objective, really good at planning probably and communicating, but also armed with some disciplines and grit and a heightened sense of ethics and personal accountability. So you take that specific raw material, you plug it in. I mean, I've always felt like I can train anybody to be a person in our industry. You're saying the same thing.
I think so. And
I mean, they don't necessarily have to be a CB or a former combat engineer.
exactly. I was just using that as an example that I think,
Right.
most people would see. You'd think, oh, that does make sense. Can I go a little further on the TAP program?
Sure, let's go, man.
Yeah. So it's a sore subject for me. When I went through, um, it was the first afternoon they were talking about VA disability. And this guy up there is like a retired E9 or whatever, and was bragging that he's 100% disabled, and then proceeding to say that if you claim that you have ringing in your ears, that's 10%, and there's no way to disprove it. And if you claim that it hurts when you type, that you have carpal tunnel, that's another 10%. And just rattling off all these unprovable conditions that you could defraud the government, defraud the VA. And I got up and I walked out.
I
So
don't
what?
understand. I don't understand is that person a contractor to the
I
government?
probably at that point I didn't really know anything about anything. I was getting out, and I, had other stuff on my mind. But I
I
said,
mean, I've
this
had
is
this discussion before in a different vein, and the TAP program has been under review and has been modified recently, but in in the process of modifying it, I don't think they talked to the private sector much at all. And while they did a good job of analyzing ways to keep the paperwork straight for the government, they didn't fix the disconnect between the program and what the market needs. And I think that's the biggest shortcoming of it. Do you agree?
absolutely it just the way it was being framed, and I'm sure it's probably not every single person that facilitates the program. But what it told me is that you're not trying to help me. You're trying to make me a ward of the state. And when everyone that's listening to this signed on the dotted line for an amount up to and including your own life to our government, you became one of the best in our country,
Hmm.
right? I'm not going to sit by and watch you become one of the worst
Well, and
just
I
because
think
you
it's
take off your
particularly disturbing that there was basically something unethical being preached. Go grab your benefits, and that
right.
I'm glad you
We don't
got up
need
and
any
brought it
more
up.
we don't need any more moochers. We know that our society is full of them. Look at the age of COVID.
Right.
Like, you go to a restaurant and you can't get a freaking table because no one's working. I can't get anyone to come do maintenance on my buildings because it's more economical to sit home and to collect that check than the one I pay for
Right.
8 hours of work.
All right. We got to reverse that trend. Is
Yeah,
is the Skill Bridge program going to be a tool that someone might use to go to your
100%.
training?
We've gotten registered with them, and that's absolutely a pipeline we're looking to fill in the coming months and years. That's a great benefit, and I'm not a fan of all the programs that are surrounding Veterans Affairs and so on and so forth, but that's a great one. Instead
Right.
of just, hey, see ya, have a nice life, 6 months to really.
Is
uh,
6 months long enough for you to train the individual to get them in a position where they could start,
for the
running the business for
businesses
them?
that we're focusing on, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Some might require a little bit more, but I think 6 months is very generous, and to be receiving your full pay and benefits while you do that is a tremendous windfall for a lot of people. We just need to figure
Right.
out how to harness it a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, Phil, the time goes by quick. I'm gonna have to get you back on. We're gonna have to talk about punk rock and skydiving and so forth. But 20 minutes goes by in the blink of an eye when we're doing this. Hey, are you on? You got your website? People can get in touch with you. Are you out on social media as well?
Not as much as I used to be, as I just see it as kind of a time suck. I'm trying to rebrand and be able to produce valuable content, on Facebook and Instagram. But right now, I just, until a couple days ago, I hadn't been on either in over a month.
So
Um,
the best way to people get in touch with is to go through the website. So
yeah, missionfirstcapital.com is great. LinkedIn is great. Um, yeah, those are the
we'll
big two.
put links to Phil's LinkedIn profile and also the website and ways to get in touch with him through LinkedIn as well. Hey Phil, thank you for being a guest and agreeing to step into the spotlight. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun, Bob. Let's do it again.
Okay. Hey, you've been listening to the Spotlight on the Veteran Crowd Network. I'm going to throw out an Army Bravo Zulu to our friend Phil Capron at Mission First Capital. Hey, Phil, good luck with all of this, folks, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by Veteran Crowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. We'll see you next time.